That's James's dinner for today. It's a spaghetti squash, some rosé sauce, yam, onion, broccoli, raspberries, banana. I'm going to talk about Resident Alien Season 3, Evil Season 3, interview with the vampire. I don't know what season that was, but 2, Late Night with the Devil. So that's what I have for us today. Let's see.
We've actually got a studio audience of 2 here.
Yeah.
I'll show you one. Come here, studio audience. Here. I'm going to pick you up here. This guy's called Elvis.
Oh, he gets so mad
There we go.
sometimes.
See?
Yep, that's
There we
Elvis.
go. Look at the camera there. Oh. Anyway,
Very interesting.
Maybe good.
Yeah, maybe you
Got to
should.
get down on the studio floor then.
Because
Easy.
he's going to take stuff off your plate there.
Yeah,
I think he's getting pretty close to it.
So, folks,
right.
that's Elvis. On the floor, the guy getting growled at is Opie. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway.
So, Resident Alien Season 3. This was the best of the Resident Alien seasons so far as I'm concerned. It was really entertaining. I laughed several times, especially. I think the part I liked best were his adventures with manscaping, and the photos that he had. So I think that was the best part. But whatever. There were a lot of funny parts, and let's see what else. What do I have to talk about this? I don't know. It was just really good. It was surprising because I don't think I've ever found a season 3 better than season 1 or 2 before.
It's kind of tough. With rock and roll albums, it's usually the fall off is with the second album. But I guess with TV, they're a little more professional. And then there's the fall off on the 3rd season.
I don't know. But this one, top of the stack. And top of the Resident Alien stacks. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I found something interesting about this. It's this one was, I think, filmed in BC because it said British Columbia for a lot in the back, even though it's supposed to be set in
Washington?
Maybe Colorado or
Could be.
Montana.
A lot of mountains there.
I don't
There's
know.
a lot of plains.
Can't remember.
You know, Colorado's half and half. It's much more half and half than Alberta is. Like, we kind of end at the mountain, but it's kind of like someone drew a line right down the middle of Colorado. So I can see that, yeah. But Colorado's probably a whole lot warmer. I'd hate to go skiing in Colorado because they've got Vail and Aspen.
But there was one episode where they must have been in Yellowstone.
It had the geysers.
Well, it had
Oh,
a hotel
faithful.
and stuff that people
They got-
probably know what their hotels look like in their fancy parks.
I don't know. You know, where was the, you know that big hotel in The Shining?
Oh yeah, that's true. And I don't know.
I'm not sure.
And I know
I'm
it's
not
Canadian.
sure if that was in Glacier or if it
Yeah,
was
I
in
know.
Banff or if it was
No,
in
it's just like okay,
Jasper.
some fancy
I don't
one.
think it was in
Oh,
Water,
dear.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
But it
I
shows
don't
just how.
know.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I don't know. Anyway, and this one has what's her name in it? Andrea Martin. Is that right?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good.
And
And
so
it's
she's
relatively
Canadian,
recent?
so that's Canadian content.
Not really.
She
she's
wasn't
American.
Canadian.
Well, she kind of
I
made
didn't
it to
know.
Canada, I think, but yeah, she was from, I think, the northeastern United States.
Huh.
And I used to think she was Jewish, but she's Armenian.
I think you told me that before.
Huh. I was
But
shocked.
anyway, okay, so not Canadian, even though I thought she was. But anyway.
Well, I actually own her autobiography.
Oh, you do?
And she says, she says people always think she's Canadian.
Huh.
Well, she came up through Second City.
Well, I guess I'm not the only one.
SCTV rather, not Second City.
That's
Second.
why.
Maybe Second City in Toronto.
Mm.
SCTV stands for Second City TV. So Second City stands for originally for a group, improv group, I guess, working out of Chicago, second city in the United States. Is the third city now because Los Angeles went roaring way ahead to become the second city in the United States. Pretty soon it's going to be the first city. And but Canada came up with its own version, and at that point in time, Toronto was the second city in Canada. See, folks, when you're kind of exclusive and stuff like that, like the separatists were in Quebec, Montreal used to be the most
I was
powerful
going to
city
say
in
this
Canada.
was filmed in Quebec.
There we go.
I don't know
But-
entirely because it's supposed to be set in Paris.
Yeah. But by far the biggest city in Canada now is Toronto. But they called it. I actually saw a second city perform in Toronto, and of course all the people that have been in it, I guess including Andrew Martin, they were doing TV. But I saw one guy that was on occasionally on SCTV, also on commercials and stuff like that. It's amazing how many people that do that improv stuff tend to get used for commercials, and they're memorable, you know. Unlike Jerry Keeling. Hi, I'm Jerry Keeling of the Calgary Stampeders. Quarterback. This is back in the '60s.
Not good on TV, hey?
A deer in the headlights.
Poor guy.
Well, he got money for it, and he was. I think he won a Stanley Cup. What am I saying? A Grey Cup. If he'd won a Stanley Cup, that would have been an accomplishment, because I think he was an American.
Okay.
Okay. So Andrew Martin's in it. You go, girl. This is recent then, eh?
This Evil season 3. I think this is this year.
That's good.
No, 2022.
Because if anything, she's
So close.
She's
2022.
older than I am. Yeah.
I know,
So-
and whoever did her plastic surgery, amazing. Because
Well, I
I
didn't
can't
see-
see how
no.
she could possibly look exactly the same as she did.
Well, she's
in the
careful
70s.
about her look. In fact, she talks about being anorexic and stuff like that.
Oh.
And you know, like it's a danger, but I think obviously she's survived it and stuff like that. And anorexia can be absolutely deadly. But I suspect more people die from
Obesity. I suspect that too. You know, I was talking
Farm.
to a woman a young woman, she was studying to be a dietitian, and I worked with her for a while, and she was saying that they recognize it within the program, people studying to be dietitians have eating disorders, and usually it's anorexia, I guess. That's what she was saying. So I don't know. You'd have to check that out to see if it's true. But I believed her because I thought, well, you know, a lot of people, if they're really, if diet is maybe a bit of an obsession with them, then they might be inclined to study that, right? So.
Well, it's important if a person's going to be limiting their carbs and stuff like that they at least understand nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I want to stress that it's not a zero-sum game. You know, like it's not as though I'm favoring anorexia over obesity or anything like that. It's people should strive to achieve a happy medium, and that's not to please me, and not to please people that are looking at people. It's so, you know, like reality is ignorance is bliss, innocence is bliss, whatever, until reality comes and slaps a person upside the head. You know, if you're obese, you're not going to live a long lifetime unless you've got some amazing genes. And if you're anorexic, you are playing with fire. You know, like it can just get out of control. Karen Carpenter, a very talented person, a drummer as well as a singer, did very well in the first half of the 70s and stuff like that. One of her songs was Only Just Begun, and unfortunately, that's all she got to, just the beginning. So, it was a brother and sister group. It's a very serious sort of thing. So I don't mean to dismiss that at all.
No, but there are ways to be thin and to get a nutritious diet.
I wouldn't say thin, to be the happy medium.
Yeah.
And now most people, especially when it comes to men, have an ideal for men that's too fat.
Well, yeah, I suppose you're right. Because thin, then people will think, well, thin without muscle, and really you do have to have muscle.
Well, it actually helps
Yeah, it
getting
helps.
around.
Yeah.
You know, like walking around in case you fall down. You know, if you develop muscles, you're going to have pounded pavements or something like that. You actually need to do physical exercise in case you fall down, so you bounce back up. You know, I've fallen down and I've got horrible skeletal features, but people my age that fall down and they're cracking a hip. Now, I could crack a hip any old time, but it's not because I'm inactive or anything like that. So, you know, again, like if you're not active, if you're if you're scared of getting muscle because you're concentrating on the weight, you'll fall down. You won't be able to get up. Yep, I've fallen. I can't get up. You know, as the advertisement used to go. So, you know, like we can say, oh, obesity is just grand. It's just a lifestyle. It's just a choice. It's all relative. No, it isn't. Reality, yes, there is such a thing. Reality slip. You know, there were all sorts of drug users in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all relative. You know, like it's another reality. Yeah, and you know, Phil Lesh, the Grateful Dead, he had to get something like a liver transplant. David Crosby was as wild as you could get. I think he had to get a liver transplant. You know, and those scumbugs, what they should have said is, hey, it's on me. There are people waiting for livers. I should just bite the big one and sacrifice myself. People have sacrificed fighting wars. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they should have done.
Well,
you hear that, Dave Crosby and Phil Lesh?
In any case, I didn't like the way this season started out. It started out where season 2 ended, and I didn't like where season 2 ended. I'm not going to give it away, but this, as much as it's Catholic demon possession sort of series, I don't get the feeling that it's coming from Catholics. It doesn't. I can't imagine that Catholics would ever put something out like this. I don't think it makes Catholics look particularly good. But
well, I don't know. I mean, they're you know, when they're going around saying Saint Mother Teresa was doing miracles and stuff like that, that's Catholic. Oh, grow up. You know, that's Middle Ages.
Well, anyway, I think there was an episode in this season about the whole body positive thing, where the one young daughter was worried about her appearance a lot. But it could have been season 2 because I watched these back to back basically, so I might have mixed some things up. It's interesting enough. I will watch the next season. So it's not unwatchable. It's just not really my cup of tea. I like the special effects and like the costumes or whatever and all that sort of thing that they worked with for the demons and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some things about this that I like. And I actually like the child actors. I think they work well together. They're always talking at the same time, trying to get attention. Yeah, and so I like that, right? I like that it's just
pulling at someone's closely.
So anyway, and I've complained about child actors a lot, so I don't here, so whatever.
There's a long and strong history, and strong in the sense of bad smell.
Yeah. And well, it's not only the fault of the child actors, really, because it's writers, right?
It's the writers,
and directors.
It comes down to the directors, because directors are responsible for the script.
Because honestly, you really can't write too much of a script for children. Basically, you shouldn't. You should go, okay, well, we need this sort of thing from the children. What would you say in this if this was happening around you, or whatever, you know? Don't give them some lines that adults would say. It's ridiculous. It's the worst.
Sometimes, I mean, Gary Coleman was kind of funny because he was doing that, the little black fella and stuff like that. I think he was, you know, maybe didn't grow.
Well, yeah, that he was pretty fortunate that way because he could play a child for quite a long time, and convincingly, and which gets us into this season. So, Interview with Vampire Season 2, there's a young woman here. She's supposed to be 14, and this is back around World War II times, when they're calling her a child in Paris, and I don't know if they would have.
In Paris, like in France?
Yeah. At age 14, looking age 14, I don't think they would have thought.
I don't know.
As a
I don't know
child.
what French usage is. Enfant, that's
Yeah,
the
but
English equivalent is infant, but
but
it's not the same.
but in World War II around then, I don't know.
It's hard to say. Like we always have trouble with these translations or stuff like that. So I don't know. Like they wouldn't have called him child because that's a Germanic word. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, sure, but even thinking of her as being a child at age 14, it just seems kind of. I don't know. It
French
seems
culture is
like
kind of different.
now. It seems like what people would think of in our culture now,
Yeah,
a 14-year-old maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
there is
even
this
now,
idea that
here they're
there's
calling
no such thing as
14-year-olds young adults. You go to the library, it's the young adult section. That's where that age group hangs out.
There's
or whatever.
some people want those folks to have the vote. Like I was all enthused
No.
about it going down to 18 years old.
Yeah.
Now I'm not that enthused.
No,
but
you get older and you realize, oh, wait a minute, the brain doesn't fully mature until 25.
I can't criticize because I was all for it. Be
Yeah, I know.
hypocritical for me
I know.
to-
And if I were 14, I'd probably be thinking, yeah, I want to vote too, even though I didn't even know what I was doing voting at age 18. I shouldn't have been voting at age 18. I don't know who I voted for. I probably picked, whatever party was in blue because I liked blue. So that's probably what I went by.
Well.
If it would have been in different colors, if it was all in black, well, I would have had a hard time deciding but honestly, I wouldn't have known anything about why'd I go and vote. Didn't know anything.
I voted NDP and all the way
Really?
down.
You remember that the first time you
That
voted?
would be pretty well automatic.
That's interesting.
And
I don't at all. See, I didn't know.
was maybe making a mistake in the sense that NDP, by splitting the left-wing vote, and understand, the Liberals are center, but they're basically left-wing. And so what happened is they split the left-wing vote and let the Conservatives come down, not the middle, but by times, extreme right-wing. Like with, it's 60 to 40%. And the Conservatives were in for 8-9 years in the 80s into the 90s, the same sort of thing with Stephen Harper. And it's because the NDP and also the Greens have split the left-wing vote. So I was being foolish, I think, a little bit. And I pulled the plug on NDP even before COVID. Not that they had maybe terribly much to do with that going wild and crazy, but in Canada. But they pulled the old bait and switch thing. They've changed from supporting working class people. I was hearing a country and western song the other day. I can't remember, I'm a hillbilly, I'm a this, that, and the other thing, and I'm a working class man. I'm going, man, oh man, that's sure changed. Because country and western is about country. Country is the agriculture. Agricultural people aren't working class. Yeah. But the big trouble is, like NDP, the Labour government in England, elsewhere, they've moved away from representing working class. They've moved away actually from representing their own constituency, representing all the people of the world. And that sort of stuff. Well, except for white people and working class people and just people in their own constituencies. They want everyone to come tumbling in because they're all going to vote NDP or Labour or whatever. And, no, it doesn't work out that way. Apparently Donald Trump has a huge following in Nigeria. And if you noticed, almost everyone we got here from Africa are from Nigeria. So great, they're going to be voting for Pierre Poilievre, and if they ever get down to the United States, voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
So, anyway, if you like the whole interview with the vampire thing, I guess you'll be into it. But really, it's not a great series. You have some good-looking vampires in that, and whatever. Maybe that's your thing. Late Night with the Devil. I thought it would be more interesting than it was. It started out better than it ended up.
Kind of looks like Justin Trudeau, only known as handsome. Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Justin
it's
Trudeau
about a
realized-
late night talk show host in the 70s, and the set looked perfect, the costumes and everything, whatever.
Oh, a talk show host on TV, not radio.
Oh, yeah, on TV.
There we go.
And
I had my mind set on the radio.
Things
I can't
end
stand
up-
this.
different than...
Than what you usually expect.
Yes.
I don't know too many
So-
people who were doing talk shows in the 70s. There was Johnny Carson and Johnny Carson.
Yeah,
Johnny
exactly.
Carson.
Yeah, they were showing him trying to compete with Johnny Carson or whatever, and it wasn't.
I don't
working
think
out.
Johnny Carson was a terribly nice guy, but people really kind of took to him or something.
They did, yes.
And there were worse. I mean, I didn't like Dave Letterman. He's funny, but I didn't like the way, stupid pet tricks, okay, but stupid human tricks, okay.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, I don't know. I just remember one David Letterman episode that I guess there was enough that it was worth me tuning into. And there was one that I laughed so hard I cried. He was talking about the crazy weather, and he's like, look out the window and the snow is going up instead of down, and I laughed so hard. It was
He
so
used
good.
to be a weatherman.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah. Sometimes there used to be a guy here in Lethbridge, Bill Matheson. He used to turn up every so occasionally. The camera would pan down. He'd be wearing runners and stuff like that. But he was such a personality. He made it down in the United States, like a big network.
Good for him.
Sort of thing. It's a real loss here. He was really, really funny. You can afford to be funny, you know. I need to see.
Yeah, if you're a
like-
weatherman, you have to have a bit of a sense of humor,
Well,
I
I
think,
mean,
to keep people
yeah.
entertained.
And every so occasionally you come up with good news. Hey,
I mean,
son.
honestly, I find Environment Canada weather forecasts more comedy than reality.
Recently.
A lot of the time,
Recently,
ever
they've
since
been-
COVID, I think the
Yeah.
people who knew what they were doing retired, and
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. But they do this
I
one
hate
thing.
to
They've
think
always
about
done
it.
this, where you have the
Maybe it
long-term
was equal
forecast.
opportunity employment. Oh
I don't
man,
know.
no,
But
please. I know what
they have
CBC's like, folks.
Yeah,
it's-
well, this is Environment Canada. So,
well, it's a similar thing.
okay, so anyway, they have a long-term forecast. They've always done this. So if you watch the long-term forecast, like I looked yesterday, and Sunday's supposed to be +6. Well, it's very cold outside, which is why we're doing the dinners in here right now.
Right here in the studio.
Yeah. And so
We should claim it as a
they'd
tax
already-
write-off, right?
today
Studio.
is a high of -9, but it was back a week ago. They were saying it was going up to 0, and then it went -2, and so it kept going down as it got closer. And I think that's what they've always done with the winter here. It's like the Environment Canada knows that the winter is brutal in Canada. We don't want to think about how cold it is, and so they give us this little light at the end of the tunnel. You
Yeah.
know, the end of the week. Oh, look, there's a day that's going to be +6. Like,
Eventually-
and we'll see.
eventually it
will Sunday
will come
be
true.
+6?
It'll just keep delaying.
Yeah,
Spring
it'll until
will arrive.
spring. Yeah, then that warm day will
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't really have anything else to talk about. There's 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Do you have anything?
Well, it's time went. Fairly, I guess it went slowly, but I was having fun. But I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I was talking about how my voting preferences have changed, but just it's not so much. I've moved away from a party, but actually the party's moved away from me.
Mm.
And they just don't represent working class people. So I have changed somewhat. You know, like I can remember, and to a certain extent it was a sea change. 1991, when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And then the United States invaded. Well, they didn't really invade any place. They were invited into Kuwait by the leaders to get rid of Saddam Hussein, and they really didn't invade Iraq. But I was dead set against the United States going in there. And then Saddam Hussein caused that huge environmental oil spill. Understand? You'll get left wingers
fire?
talking about it. Well, there's oil too. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
It's huge.
I just
And,
remember
yeah,
the fire.
well, anyway, he was the people will still talk about. Oh, there are leftover remnants of Exxon Valdez, but what Saddam Hussein did there was way worse. You see what I'm saying in terms of short-term effects and long-term effects too. And then what he did was, when the swamp Arabs down in that general area rebelled against him, he just wiped out the swamps. Those swamps have existed since ancient times. So, but as soon as he set those things on fire, I was saying to George Bush privately inside my head, go get him. But George Bush Sr. actually understood what would happen, because under the Turks, understand, this is not British problems, it's Turkish imperialism. The Turks were Sunnis. The 20% of the people in Iraq are Sunni Arabs. And so they had the Sunni Arabs ruling over all of that for them, You see what I'm saying? And that's been Saddam Hussein just kept on doing that sort of thing. People are saying, whoa, like the colonial powers divided. No, that was a rule, kind of like an entity set up by the Turks. And then they had 20% of the population ruling, Sunni Arabs. And so Bush was saying, we don't want the majority of people ruling there. We don't want it, George Bush Sr., we don't want a democracy there, because all they'll do is have one vote, one person, one vote once, and then they vote to join up with Iran in a dictatorship, which is basically what they've got now. No? And he knew what would happen. George Bush Jr. had no clue about that sort of stuff, so he went and made a huge schmozzle. And of something that was already set up as a schmozzle by the Turks. Do your homework if you're skeptical. I'm sure most of you folks, not most, but there are some folks out there that are cynical about it. But, that was set up by the Turks. And they were an imperial power. Oh, they're not white. They can't be imperial. Yeah, imperialism was invented in Asia by people that we consider not of color, or people of color. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, so that's it then?
Yep.
Okay.